Okay, I'm going to make several videos because the film PowerPoint is quite long and we actually cover quite a bit of time. And a lot of things, a lot of different things happened. I'm a film addict. I love actually going to movies and being in the audience. I don't know how most of you feel about that, but it certainly is expensive to get that experience, but it's really nice, especially when it isn't crowded and you can get something to snack on and just lean back and it's dark. Of course, you can do that at home, but there's something about that huge screen that pulls you into the action. I've just always liked that. Okay, so we're going to start with the silent era, which was the beginning, and um, and you can follow along with me. So on slide 2, from the top, we have these are some important points to remember. In the 1830s concept of persistence of vision. Uh, we'll go over that. I really want you to understand where that came from and what it is, what it's trying to explain to you. Okay, persistence of vision, POV. Sometimes POV means point of view, but for us in this course, we're going to say that POV means persistence of vision. During this time, we had the invention of photography, which some of you wrote in your comments that this was going on at the same time photography was developing and improving, film was developing and improving. Electric power, you needed that in order to make everything run. The creation of celluloid, which is considered the first commercial plastic, the invention of the incandescent light bulb, and the desire for dollars, which you will find will always be at the root of anything new that's being developed. If there is no way to monetize it, in other words, if there's no way to make money off of it, people are not going to invest in research and development. That's just a fact. People want money. It's a good motivator. All right, so let's start with persistence of vision. It's the ability of the brain to retain an image a split second longer than the eye actually sees it. This is very important because when you're watching film, you are not watching something that is continuous. It is continuous in the way you perceive it. You perceive it as motion. But if you look at the film, you'll see that it's thousands of individual frames at distinct parts or times of that motion. It is not motion. You're not seeing real motion. You're seeing something that gives you the idea that there's motion. So if we see 16 individual images in rapid succession, the brain connects them to make a fluid sequence of movement. That's what your brain is doing for you through the persistence of vision. Now, we have an early developer here named Edward Muybridge, or Muybridge. Let's just call it Muybridge. I don't know for sure. He lived from 1830 to 1904, so he gave it a good 70 years of his life. One of the first to show moving pictures. Think of his name. You can think of the bridge in his name. A bridge is where that connects something to another thing. You move from one thing to another. So he was the first to show moving pictures. He wagered Nobody knew this for a fact. He wagered that a horse leaves all four of its feet off the ground when it runs. And he created, you're going to hear a lot of different names for devices, machinery to show moving pictures, the zoopraxiscope to prove it. So here he's thinking, I need to show that there is a point at which all four of the horse's feet are off the ground. So he created a film called Galloping Horse. It was the first movie ever made. And I want to show this to you. Well, you've got it right here. I won't be able to show it to you like this. So I want you to watch it. You see on this slide, you see the disc that's used, and you can see different images of the horse. And when they're shown in rapid succession, your brain fills in those spaces, those points at which a photo wasn't taken. Then we move on to Edison. Edison, you will find Edison is involved in so many of these things, starting at this point. Brilliant man, best marketer around. He wasn't just brilliant, because there were lots of brilliant people at this time developing all sorts of media. He knew how to market them. He knew how to advertise them. He knew how to sell them. And if you don't have that ability, then why develop it at all? Because the purpose is to make money off of it. So he developed something called the kinetoscope. You can see here he's looking at some slides, and this is what this thing was. It was huge, but you would stand there and look inside, and you would see these moving pictures. He realized that motion pictures could attract a paying audience. Aha! So this is when he started to dig his heels in. Okay, this is something that can make me some money. A coin-operated box that would show amusing films. Now, remember, Galloping Horse was the first movie ever made. Well, the first copyrighted film, remember, Edison is going to cover all his bets. He's going to copyright it so nobody can make money off of it except for him. It was called The Sneeze, and you can look that up on YouTube. I'd like you to see it. Opposed to showing movies on a screen, because he felt that you would lose money by showing. This was, you can write this down and remember it. This was Edison's first of, not very many, but first really he miscalculated. He thought that if you showed films on a screen, people wouldn't pay for it, okay? He was not right about that, but he contributed sprocket holes on film. So film didn't just slide through this reel, it actually stayed where it was supposed to stay. It wouldn't go off the track because he had sprocket holes on the film. So, oh yeah, I've got the, on slide 8, you can copy this and go right to seeing the sneeze. It's quite cute, but it's first copyrighted. And this is what it looks like on slide 9. If you were to take each part of it, I think it goes down and then up to the next one and down. It's like the shoo. Okay, now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 40 cells or slides or frames. Let's call them frames. 40 frames to this quick sneeze. Now enter the Lumiere brothers. You might be able to tell by the name that they're French. Louis and Auguste Lumiere, French inventors, they created something called the cinematograph. I'm not going to require you to remember who invented which particular machine. That's busy knowledge, okay? If you want to remember that, you can talk to somebody at a cocktail party and impress them with your knowledge, but that isn't going to actually teach you about the film industry. So we can start there. This was in 1895. They showed a movie on a screen for the first time. It was an overnight sensation. Hello, Mr. Edison, you made a mistake. One film of a train pulling into a station terrorized the audience. It was so real. They're sitting there and they're thinking, oh my gosh, this train is coming at me. Just imagine that, seeing something like that for the very first time. Nobody had ever seen anything like that. However, audiences soon tired of the format because human beings are not trained, they're genetically wired to like stories. I don't know why, but we like a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if something doesn't have that, have you ever been to a movie and the ending was not satisfying? It didn't really tell you what actually happened, and you leave and you go, well, what do you think was going to happen? Why did it end like that? We don't like that. That's uncomfortable. We want it to end. We want a beginning, we want a middle, and we want an end. That's just the way the human brain works. So after a while, seeing these just just a video of something that he saw in front of him that was not satisfying to the audience. So then, somewhere around the same time, enters George Méliès. I'm going to continue this on the next one.